Welcome to the Cambridge Real Estate Market Quarterly Update. We're at the end of the third quarter in 2015, and it's been an interesting quarter. We've seen pretty rapid acceleration in average sale prices, and that's across the board, single families, condos, and multis. So let's jump in. We'll take a look at the numbers. So I want to look at the numbers in two different ways for this analysis. One is taking a look at year-to-date numbers, so January to September of 2015 versus the same time period last year. But I also want to look at just the quarter, so the third quarter of 2015 and comparing that to the third quarter of 2014. Let's start out just taking a look at the market as a whole. This is going to include everything, single families, condos, and multifamilies. On a year-to-date basis, the average sale price is up 9%. The number of total properties that have been listed on the market, we've dropped about 8%, and the number of sales has dropped about 3% from 2014 to 2015 year-to-date. And checking out the whole market on a quarterly basis, so how has the third quarter of 2015 done compared to the third quarter of 2014? Our average sale price is up 20%. Inventory stable, it's plus 1%, not a big change. And the sale price to list price ratio, across the three sectors, there's no change. It's 104%. But you'll see as we dive into the individual sectors that there's some variability between singles, condos, and multis. 2015 numbers, our average sale price is up 7.2% over the same time period in 2014. Looking at the average sale price just over the third quarter and comparing that to 2014's third quarter, it's up 15%. Looking at inventory, this is the total number of units that have been listed. If we look year to date in the single family sector, there have been 134. Last year it was 131 units listed. We call that a pretty stable market. In 2014, there were 32 new single family listings in the third quarter. In 2015, we have 43. That's an increase of 34% just in single families quarter over quarter. Looking at the ratio of sale price to list price, in 2014, a lucky seller put a property on the market, single family, for $1 million and would expect to get $1,080,000 back. So that was 108% of the asking price. In 2015, that has slipped a bit. We're down to 106% over the year to date. Now, really interestingly, when we look at single families just over the third quarter, that sale price to list price ratio has dropped pretty dramatically. From the third quarter of 2014, it was 110% of the asking price that on average a seller would get. And in the third quarter of 2015, that number dropped from 110% to 101%. So right now, single family properties are trading pretty close to the asking price. So shifting gears, taking a look at the condominium market, actually the themes are pretty similar. The average sale price on a year-to-date basis is up 9.7% over the same time period in 2014. Yet when we look at the quarter, our average sale price is up 17%. The condo inventory on a year-to-date basis has dropped quite a bit from 689 units year-to-date in 2014 to 608 units this year. So that's about a 12% drop. On a quarterly basis, the new inventory level is very stable. We're within 2 units. In the third quarter of 2014, there were 200 new units listed. In the third quarter of 2015, there were 198 units listed. So let's call that a draw. Looking at the sale price to list price ratio, on a year-to-date basis, for condominiums, we saw a jump from 104% in 2014 to 106% in 2015. On a quarterly basis, it's also up 2%, 104% to 106%. So that's pretty consistent year-to-date versus just the quarter. When we look at the total number of sales for 2014 year-to-date in the condo sector, there were 490 sales. Same time period in 2015, 465 sales. Not a dramatic difference. We're off about 5%. When we look at the third quarter for condos, in 2014, there were 232 units sold. In 2015, it was 220 units. So that's off about 5% as well. No great shakes there. In the multifamily sector, the trend continues. The average sale price on a year-to-date basis is up, but not dramatically. It's about 1.5% that's increased from $1.25 million to $1.27 million on average. However, looking at the quarterly numbers, it's pretty dramatic. The average sale price for the quarter was $1.33 million this year, and in 2014, it was $1.14 million. That's a 17% increase. As with the single families and the condos, we're seeing marginal improvements in the average sale price on a year-to-date basis and pretty dramatic double-digit escalations on the quarterly basis. For multifamilies, looking at the total number of properties that have been listed on the market, on a year-to-date basis, it's pretty stable. 89 units in 2014, 90 units in 2015. However, looking at the quarter, in 2014, there were 28 new properties put on the market in the third quarter. In 2015, there were 34 properties on the market in the multifamily sector. Taking a look at multifamilies and the sale price to list price ratio, over the year-to-date, we've seen a slight drop from 105% in 2014 to 2015, 103%. So sellers are getting a little bit less on average than they were same time period last year. What's probably most exciting for buyers to hear is the next statistic, which is how far it's dropped on a quarterly basis. So for the third quarter of 2014, multifamily sellers were getting 103.5% of their asking price. In 2015, in the third quarter, that number is at 99%. It's crazy to say it, but this is the first quarter in a long time that this number has dipped below 100% for any of the three sectors, singles, condos, or multis. I want to take a quick look at on-market snapshots. So what is on the market right now today on September 29th in 2015? We have 118 properties active. That includes everything. At the same date last year in 2014, we had 94 properties active. But that increase doesn't really tell the whole story, because when you take a look and break it down price-wise, in the $500,000 to $800,000 range, we've actually had a decrease. It's gone down 20%. In 2014, there were 39 properties available on this day. This year, there are 31 properties available. That sector took a hit. Buyers are going to have to work a little bit harder if we're working within an environment of shrinking inventory. Now contrast that with the price range between $1 million and 2.5. In 2014, there were 29 active properties in this segment of the market. Right now, in 2015, there are 48 properties on the market. That's a 65% increase. And this is really a warning to sellers. You need to be careful pricing in this range, because buyers have a lot to look at. And anecdotally, we've noticed it too. Our buyers in these price ranges suddenly are saying, hey, wait a minute, we have so much more to see, and they're not rushing to make the first offer they can. They're being a little more patient, waiting to see what else comes on the market. I think it's a good time for sellers to take stock, and if you're about to launch a property on the market, you need to be really deliberate with your pricing. So there you have it. Thank you for tuning in. Check back in January. We'll have our end-of-year review for 2015. And in the meantime, for more information, please visit my website at laurenholleran.com.